Questions and comments? Question commentaire. The honourable member for Courtenay Alberni.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I kind of find it comical when I come in here and I hear my Conservative colleague talk about people working hard, like my colleague from Saanich Gulf Islands, who it takes 12 and a half hours like me, 3 flights on average to get here, Mr. Speaker. And you know that we'll be here tonight in a late adjournment proceedings, dragging you here, dragging the government here. It's not a question of working hard. When we have Conservative colleagues that it takes 2 hours to get here, and they're complaining about how hard we work. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to talk about, the Conservative member talked about health care. They cut funding to health care, Mr. Speaker. Ask people who live in Ontario where Doug Ford lives, or Danielle Smith in the UCP. They don't stand up for workers. What we're talking about here is ensuring that workers aren't working 30 hours or from midnight to 9 a.m. The member from Saanich Gulf Islands talked about ensuring there was health support for somebody. We can't wait till somebody dies of a heart attack. It's not worth the cost, is what the Conservatives keep talking about. Well, someone losing their life here by working from midnight to 9 in the morning, that is not standing up for workers' rights. That is not being responsible, and that's not showing leadership. And if we listen to experts, a physical doctor or a mental health doctor, they would say this isn't sustainable and it's not appropriate. And if we're going to show leadership in this country, it's time that we stop sitting all night from midnight to 9 in the morning. I want to be here till midnight. I want to work. I came here to work. But we got to take responsibility and show leadership. I think this is the right decision, and it's long overdue.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, I want to thank the member for Courtenay Alberni for that, because it is time to actually address this in a very, very serious manner. There are 338 of us in this chamber. It is not healthy for any single one of us to be forced to vote on billion-dollar items for 30 straight hours. That is not healthy, Mr. Speaker. That is not healthy for anyone. And there are people in this House with health conditions, with issues that quite predictably make their families, their friends, their constituents anxious, because they should not be here voting for 30 consecutive hours and forced by the Leader of the Opposition and an obstructive, toxic force across the way to vote for 30 hours. That is not okay. And then to think that someone would be seriously harmed by that, Mr. Speaker, I used to be the Chief Government Whip. The welfare of the members was very important to me, as it is to our current Chief Government Whip, as I'm sure it's important to all whips. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot make sure that the resources, like the member from Saanich Gulf Island was calling for, or any of the other supports that are required, are here, so that we can be certain that all members are safe. And we need members to be safe. No one sends us here to be unsafe and to enjoy unsafe working conditions. Those are unsafe working conditions. You know who knew they were unsafe, Mr. Speaker? The Leader of the Opposition, who did 6 votes from his seat and 124 of them from a McDonald's franchise and a Conservative fundraiser.
I got a point of order from the Honourable Member for Northumberland Peterborough South.
After this member was a lobbyist for numerous multinational corporations, he has been in the House for a long time, and he knows that you cannot refer to whether a member is in the House or not in the House.
Well, let's stick to points of order where we've got 10 minutes of debate left. The Honourable Member for Kingston the Islands.
On that point of order, Mr. Speaker, it's a public record how a member voted, whether it was in person or on the app, and that's all that the House Leader did was reference that.
That's right. I mean, I think I've said that on many occasions so far in the last few days, that the record is full game. If it's booked in the book, it's actually a public record. But we just can't say whether somebody's in the Honourable Member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to remind members of this House, many of which, including the member for Courtenay Alberni, that wasn't here when I first learned about all-night voting, and it was back when Stephen Harper was the Prime Minister and the NDP moved hundreds, if not thousands, of amendments to a piece of legislation to discuss Canada Post and forced all-night voting. As a matter of fact, I believe, Mr. Speaker, if you check the record, that voting went on for in excess of 24 hours, and I even believe the member for Saanich Gulf Islands has moved a number of motions and amendments that created long-term marathon voting as well. So I just want to remind everybody that this is where we're actually at. And the issue that the government House Leader doesn't understand is that it's the agenda that they're trying to get passed that is actually causing the frustration in the House. They can monkey around with all of the standing orders that they want, but unless they actually have an agenda that Canadians want, and Canadians are rejecting their agenda right now, the polling numbers clearly indicate that this government and their coalition partners do not have the support of the Canadian public, so everything that they're doing is actually against where the Canadian public is at. So if they would just change their agenda, they would actually have the support of this House and the support of the Canadian public. If you have the support of the public, you'll have the support in the House. They don't have the support of the House because the public doesn't support their agenda. They can monkey with the standing orders all they want, but it's not going to change the fact that they've got bad ideas, and that's why those ideas aren't getting through the House.